The thing that I get the most is vampire teeth.
Hang on. So wait, Cristiano Ronaldo. This is an interesting one because...
One of the other players kicked one of my teeth out.
Oh, wow.
So the coach grabbed the tooth, washed it off, popped it back into my mouth, and he said, finish the game. The most difficult thing for a technician is to replace a single central because all the other teeth are natural. And now you have to make something that's unnatural fit in with those teeth.
Right, okay.
Vampires are sexy.
You heard it here first. How did you go from South Africa to ending up here in Australia, though?
If they want pink elephants on their teeth, you put pink elephants on their teeth. My wife's aunt got shot in the face 3 times and they stole a wallet and a cell phone.
Have you ever had to talk someone out of a smile or a set of veneers that wasn't right for them?
Yeah.
Tell us. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the pod. Have you ever wondered who actually makes the veneers at Vogue Dental Studios? Well, today we are sitting down with Francois, Lab Manager and Master Ceramist here at Vogue Dental Studios. He is the hands behind every custom smile makeover. And so today we are going to talk about how he creates each custom smile, the trends shaping cosmetic dentistry, and his journey from South Africa to becoming one of the best in the business in Australia. So let's get straight into this episode. Francois, welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much.
We're so excited to have you. You have travelled far and wide to come here today. You literally just popped down 2 doors.
Yeah.
Yeah? For anyone that doesn't know, you actually make the veneers in-house here. So the lab is quite literally 2 doors up. So it was a hop, skip and a jump for you to be with us today. You are the man behind some of the most iconic celebrity smiles. When did you realise that you had this gift?
Well, it started when I was a little boy. Actually, it did. Didn't realize back then what it would amount to, but I was on a rugby tour and one of the other players kicked one of my teeth out.
Oh, wow.
So the coach grabbed the tooth, washed it off, popped it back into my mouth, and he said, finish the game. After the game, we went back to where we were staying, the hotel, and he got his wife's nail glue and he glued the tooth to the rest of my teeth.
Gosh.
And we did the rest of the rugby tour like that.
Hang on a second. Isn't that highly toxic?
I wouldn't say highly, but yeah, it's not,
I always see the warning labels on those things. Do not ingest.
Yeah. You get stupid people.
Yeah.
Look, it worked. It kept it there. After the tour, went to the dentist. He looked at it, cleaned it up, and basically did the same thing just with dental cement. And I walked around like that for about 10 years. But that sort of sparked the idea of teeth and, followed up from there. My aunt knew a dental technician and sort of got me in. And,
The rest is
started.
history.
Yeah.
And you've been at Vogue Dental Studios for how long now?
I think it's about 4 years.
4 years. Talk to me. What does an average day look like for you here? From when you come in the morning?
First thing, coffee.
Coffee. Always coffee. What do you drink?
Cappuccino.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yep. Basic, normal milk?
That's it.
All right. Basic guy.
Yeah, it varies. Every day is a little bit different. A lot of it is checking, making sure that what we've done the day before is correct. It fits nicely. And most of it is actually dealing with the patients, helping them to achieve the smile they want.
And you have been a dental technician for 25 years. So you've pretty much spent your whole life doing this. When you look back, what was the industry like when you first started?
Very different from now. Everything's digital, computer. When I started, I don't think we had a computer in the lab. Maybe one for the front desk, Everything was done by hand. A lot of waxing up, a lot of model pouring, dirty work. Now all of that stuff is computerized. You design on the computer. You get the machine to print or mill. We used to be 25 people in a lab, and now we can probably do that with 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
So really cut back on resources, but you've upscaled in terms of tech.
Yeah.
So how much of it is actually you physically and manual labour, essentially, making the veneers?
A lot of the base form of the veneers get milled. So we have a good structure, and then we can customize from there.
Sure.
Precision is very good. I still think the computer lack a little bit with hand manufacturing from the start. You can get really, really good fit if you know what you're doing. But the problem is it's very labor intensive, and if something breaks, you have to start all over. Because we're dealing with porcelain and something that's fairly fragile, you get breakage. But with a computer, because you've got files, you can just remill it and try again.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's essentially just like pull up the file and
redo it. Yeah. And
Wow.
then you just make sure the fit's right, and then we can customize the outside layer basically.
And what makes a good ceramist? I imagine that you would have to have a hawk eye, right? You would have to have a very good and fine attention to detail. You have to be a little bit creative. What do you think makes you a great ceramist?
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. I think a major thing is caring, putting the patient first. If you care about what you're doing, then you will make sure that all those other things fall in place. Yeah, I reckon that's the big thing, caring about your patient.
And obviously, because you do this day in, day out, and you see a lot of patients and even people on the street, do you often find yourself looking and judging people's teeth?
All the time.
Are you judging mine right now?
No.
You better not be.
I don't judge, right? To me, natural teeth are beautiful. I fell in love with teeth. Spent 25 years trying to make a piece of porcelain look like a real tooth. So a lot of the trend recently, and we sort of started moving out of it, and was the Hollywood smile, which I hated because a lot of before I worked here was single centrals.
What does that mean?
Okay, so let's say someone's in an accident or you have some sort of trauma to the front. The most difficult thing for a technician is to replace a single central because all the other teeth are natural, and now you have to make something that's unnatural fit in with those teeth.
Right, okay.
So you have to put life in it. And especially a couple of years ago, we had PFM, so it's porcelain fused to metal. So nowadays we've got better materials, zirconia, so you have a tooth-colored substructure. In the past, you had metal substructure. Now, you can imagine a tooth. What we see is light that gets reflected or absorbed or that passes through something. Now, you have a crown that's got metal on the inside, and the light cannot pass through it. So you have to be creative to make that tooth look like the tooth next to it where the light passes through it. So it takes a lot of time getting the skill because you're building it up in layers. And if you made a mistake on the inside, you have to cut everything back, fix it.
Do you find that it looks one way when you're working on it here or in the lab, let's say, compared to when you actually then are putting it in someone's mouth?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And that's why we rely a lot on photographs.
Sure.
But even then, once you put it in the patient's mouth, it looks different. You can try as much as you like, but once it's in the patient's mouth, that's when you know what it's going to look like. And that's what makes us special here because we work on it with the patient. A lot of practices, they're not close to the lab. So whatever they get, they either just put it in or they have to send it back to the lab. They have to make the changes from what the dentist said. So they interpret what is meant. Do that, send it back, see if it's right. If it's not right, do it again.
Whereas you guys here are literally next door.
Yeah.
So you're able to do it in a much more efficient way.
And that's actually how dentistry started. And in the beginning, a dentist would do everything himself. Obviously, donkey's years ago. And then it sort of split where one would be more involved in the creating of the crown, and the other one would be in placing in the crown, and that's how it sort of split up to dental technology and dentistry. And I think it's fantastic now that things are coming back together.
I want to go back to the basics for anyone who's listening and who might be considering getting veneers or doing a smile makeover. What is the difference between porcelain and composite veneers, and what are the pros and cons of each?
So a composite is basically like an acrylic with some porcelain particles in it. It's softer, more porous, cheaper, a little bit less wearing on natural teeth. So let's say you have a opposing tooth that's really hard, so like let's say a zirconia, it might wear down your natural tooth faster.
Right.
So with a composite, they're really soft, so the composite will wear down before your natural teeth will wear down.
Okay.
Having said that, in recent times, the materials have changed a lot, and we've come closer to get the material the same as natural teeth. Coming back to your question, composites are easy to fix. If something breaks, you can fix it in the mouth. Where porcelain, if that happens, you have to remove the whole thing. Where in the past we had to cut it off, so the whole thing gets destroyed, it has to be remade. Nowadays we can laser it off and possibly save the crown. Not always possible, because there is an amount of heat that is generated, and porcelain doesn't like to be heated up quickly and cool down. It's like glass, it cracks.
Right. It's a very fragile material you're working with.
I always explain to the patients, veneers are a lot like floor tiles. When they're loose, you can break them easily, but once they're cemented on the floor, they're quite hard and strong.
Yeah.
Same thing in the mouth. Once they're cemented, they're quite strong because they've got that substructure of the tooth there.
And in terms of risks of breaking them or cracking them, how common is that? Or do you have to be eating something really, really hard, let's say?
Tricky question. Generally, if we follow all the rules, quite strong. A lot of times people want a certain look, and then we have to compromise a little bit on the thickness and make it thinner than what we would generally want them to be to create a certain look. And I usually explain this to the patient and say, look, I can do what you want. Bear in mind there's a risk that this is now compromising the strength. And then sometimes people do, I don't want to say stupid things, but...
Tell us, go on.
Like sometimes you eat a nut or chew on something that's harder than you expected, a piece of bone.
Yes.
I love sausage, and being a South African, boerewors is delicious. But sometimes there's a little piece of bone or something and you bite on it and it might cause something. Usually not. But then I had a patient, I kept going back, cracks in the crown, and remake it, remake it. And I go, what is this guy doing? So I start talking to him, and it turns out, this is way back also, he's a carpenter. And he had the nails in his mouth while he's working.
Okay.
So I said to him, what are you eating? And he goes, oh, no, it was just like a soft piece of bread. And you need to stay away from the bread, you know.
Yeah.
But meantime,
he actually had nails in his mouth.
Yeah.
Right. Can you walk us through the step-by-step process of creating a set of veneers, and how involved are you actually in the process?
All right. So you have to start off with the patient, right? So firstly, the dentist would meet with the patient and figure out what it is that they want to achieve. So from there, you can start to plan what needs to be done. We do a digital smile design. So we create a virtual mock-up of what we are planning.
So they can already see what their teeth would look like?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Technology is amazing nowadays. In the past, we had to wax it up and then show the patient, but then you can only see it on an articulator. You can't see it with your face. Now we can incorporate the person's photo with the new teeth on it before anything's done.
Yeah.
So from that design, we can actually print a model, and then we call that model usually the FTP, so final tooth position. And we can basically make a putty key that fits over that, which we usually do. From there, we would get the patient in for the prep. So if the teeth needs to be cut, we cut. Now, with that initial design, we can see, okay, this tooth is not in the right position. It needs to be cut a little bit more. Other teeth are fine. We don't even have to touch them. Now, especially at Vogue, we try to cut as little as possible because healthy teeth, we don't want to touch them. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's necessary to bring a tooth in and it has to be cut a little bit. So then that helps a lot with that planning. So on that day where the prep's done, we will use that putty key to put acrylic in it so the patient can go home with temporaries. And that helps us to see how the final result will look in the patient's face. And the patient can look at it and say, hey, I want centrals a little bit bigger, I want longer, shorter, wider. Mm-hmm. So from the feedback we get from the patient there, we can now design the veneers and add those little customizations. Mm. The designs then gets put into the computer and into the mill, so it gets milled. We use a lithium disilicate, which is like it's a man-made porcelain. Once we have that base shape, it then comes to me, where I can either layer, depending on what the patient wanted, or just shape those veneers a little bit more, because the shape is like 90% there. It just needs a little bit refinement. And then we get the patient in again and try these veneers on. Mm-hmm. So that's where I really come in, the experience that I have. Sit with the patient, first off, try them in, make sure the fit's correct. And then we go through each tooth to see if the shape is what they want. A lot of times, beautiful, perfect, don't have to do much. But sometimes we have to customize it to what the patient wants. Even though we've got all the technology and we've seen it on a computer, once it's in the patient's mouth, it does not always look the way we want it. Mm-hmm. And then we play with it until the patient's happy. Once they're happy, it gets cemented. And then probably in a week's time, the patient comes back and we do a little bit of a cleanup and make sure everything's right, the bite's right, might adjust here and there. But that's basically it.
Wow. Big process.
Yeah.
Big process.
There's a lot of steps in between. And especially if a patient wants layering, it takes longer because then you have to build up on top of that base shape that you have, layer by layer, porcelain by hand.
When you say layering, what does that mean specifically? What would the patient be after?
So that's a more natural look.
Sure, okay.
A lot of times when you look at, especially Instagram, it's all white teeth.
Yeah.
Where natural teeth has a more translucent look. So the edges especially, where the light passes through, it almost has like a blue-gray edge. So you can only achieve that natural look by building it up with a different porcelain that's a little bit more see-through. Mm-hmm.
What are the subtle details that most people don't realise go into making veneers look really natural? You were saying about translucency,
that's
which is
exactly
one.
that. Translucency. Yep. So right on the edge on natural teeth, because the cutting edge is at 30 to 45 degrees, it's almost like a prism. The light hits it slightly different. So through the incisal third, the light will pass through, but right on the edge, the light bounces back and it creates a little white line, and that's what we call the halo effect. Mm-hmm. So I'll put that in as well. Some teeth have little brown lines on the inside, or mamelons, internal structure that natural teeth have, that you can't always see it. When you look closely and intensely, that's when you see it. And it's small things, but it makes a difference.
It's a real science.
Yeah.
And even all the language and the jargon that you're throwing around here, I'm like, this is very much out of my wheelhouse, but it's so interesting. What are some of the things, though, that you think set Vogue Dental Studios veneers apart? Because there are so many dental clinics and boutiques that you can go to get your teeth done. If you could pick 3 things that set Vogue Dental Studios veneers apart, what would you say they are?
I think the big thing that I've felt immediately is the caring. It's not about selling. It's about giving the patient something that they want. Obviously, the fact that the lab is here, we can immediately fix things. And then aftercare. Amazing. I've not seen another dentist that cares about his patients the way our dentists do. 4 or 5 years after the patient had their veneers done, they come back, they go, oh, something happened. No issues, we'll help you.
I'm curious because I know that you would see so many patients day in, day out. Have you ever had to talk someone out of a smile or a set of veneers that wasn't right for them?
Yeah.
Tell us. Come on, we want all the tea.
Some patients, they want things that's not good for them.
Like what?
They want this makeover smile to look better.
Yes.
And they think they know better because they've seen stuff on Instagram, but for their face, it would not work, or it would age them. So the whole process of cosmetic dentistry is to have an improvement. And they ask for things that make them look older. So then I'll explain to them why I think it's not a good idea. Obviously, it's up to them. It's their money. They can look the way they want. I had a boss. I would complain about things like this, and he would say to me, if they want pink elephants on their teeth, you put pink elephants on their teeth.
Yep.
So I had to learn to sort of take myself out of the situation and understand what it is, what they want.
Yep.
If it's something that's not functional or that would impede speech or the way the mouth needs to function, then I would push harder. But if it's a more cosmetic thing, I would let them.
It's an interesting point you make because I think, like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and what you think might look good might be different to what I think. But I think with social media too, it's created a little bit of a monster where people are seeing these, huge phosphorus white Hollywood teeth and they're thinking, yep, I want that. Yep. But to you, you're also trying to balance, functionality as well as aesthetics too.
It's hard sometimes when someone comes in with a bunch of photos and say, I want this. And then you go, your mouth is not the same as that person's mouth, and your lips aren't the same, and your whole jaw is not the same. We can't get that. But I can take the characteristics that you like from that, and I can try and incorporate it into your smile. And I think that's the thing that I love doing, is working with the patient to get their smile unique to them.
What is the strangest request that you've ever had, apart from pink elephants on the teeth?
I'd say that the thing that I get the most is vampire teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
Hang on. So wait, are we talking though like the fangs?
Yeah.
You mean either side, like the canines?
Canines really long and sharp, yeah.
Why?
If the lower, I don't know. It's a thing.
Wow.
Vampires are sexy.
You heard it here first. Vampires are sexy. Yep. Bizarre. Generally speaking, though, what is the most requested look from patients when people come in? What are they after?
The Hollywood smile.
Hollywood smile.
Yeah. It's starting to change. People are seeing that that's probably not the best. And I think even in Hollywood, they are changing to more natural looking smiles.
Yeah.
It's almost like when something's new, everyone wants it. And then you start to realize, okay, but now everyone's got this thing.
Yeah.
It's very much a generic look. And there's actually better out there. It's really hard for me to explain to someone something that's better, but they still want the same thing.
Yep.
But like I said before, patience is the boss.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to play a game called Veneer Verdicts, okay? So we're going to put your expert eyes to the test. I've got 5 celebrity smiles here on the iPad, and for anyone who is listening, if you do jump on YouTube, we'll actually overlay some of these images. But I want you to give us your honest Ceramist critique. What works, what doesn't, and if you were redoing these celebrities' veneers, what would you do differently? Are you ready?
Right. Okay. Let's do it.
One of my faves because I just love her so much, but her teeth are interesting. Miss Katie Price. Let me zoom in for you here so you can get a really good look. She's had them done a few times. I think nearly 4 times she's had them done.
I think the biggest thing is the color. It's way too white. Okay. Let's say she likes the white. So if you going to forgive the color, then you need to work on the shapes. You can't have the color fake, the shapes fake. It's too much.
Yep.
So I'd say have the laterals, so the 2 next to the 2 in the middle, a little bit shorter. The teeth are very square, so all of them have almost the same shape. So create more of a natural shape in all of them. And the canine tips, very flat, so it looks like she's got 6 incisors, front central incisors.
It kind of looks very blocky, doesn't it?
She's got tic-tacs. You can let the patient have one of the 3 things, either very white, either very fake-looking shapes, and a very straight incisal edge. But all 3 of them together doesn't work.
Absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Jojo Siwa.
That's not bad. I like that. That's nice natural teeth. I wouldn't change that.
You wouldn't change it?
No.
Okay. No. Jojo Siwa gets Francois' tick of approval. We love that. What about Ivanka Trump?
So that's another example of the incisal edge of the 2 centrals and the laterals at the same level. So that's generally an indication of aging because teeth grind each other. The lowers and the uppers grind against, and that makes you look older. Canines as well, especially the one canine, also very flat. For her, I would shorten the laterals, centrals, distal edges, so the edges on the outside, round that a little bit, and sharpen the canine tips.
Okay.
Colour is okay.
Her colour looks all right.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo. This is an interesting one because I've often thought that there's just something wrong when he smiles. I don't know if it's his top lip is very thin and so it kind of gets caught on his teeth. What is it?
Yeah. So he's got a little bit of a gummy smile.
Yeah.
So you can see gum. So what they did, if you look at the before photo, you can see on his right-hand side, he doesn't have a lateral. He's got a canine in the lateral position.
Yep.
So the after photos, they had to correct that. So the only way to do that is to either cut that canine really small so it can look like a lateral and then make the premolar that's behind the canine a canine. They had to do that, or you can pull the canine, put an implant in, and then correct it like that. So with a gummy smile, if you have veneers or crowns, the lips sometimes do get stuck above them because they have to go over the teeth. But his after photo is not too bad.
much better than his before. His teeth were.
Yeah, of course. And that's the thing that people sometimes need to understand. We can't always create that perfect smile, but we can improve what you had. And it's very important for us to remind the patient what they looked like before and how far we've come.
Yeah. And the next one, Steve Harvey with his big white teeth.
Yeah.
He's known for his smile though.
Yeah. And look, so there's a thing, the golden proportions.
What does that mean?
It's a picture of a man in a circle and in a square. So we perceive certain people as attractive, and they usually they're closer to these golden proportions. Now, when it comes to teeth, the laterals, if you see them as the amount of 1, the centrals need to be 1.6, and the canines need to be 0.6, so the difference in sizes. Now, the same thing counts for the tooth on its own, the width in relation to the length. There's a certain ratio that looks better than others. With him, his 2 centrals are a little bit on the bigger side. So you feel like you only see these 2 teeth.
I feel like his teeth get into the room before he does. It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things. Some people, it's part of their personality. I wouldn't change it. It's
personal preference.
Yeah.
Personal preference. Well, thank you for a bit of fun.
No, that's my pleasure.
To critique these teeth. Veneer talk aside, though, I do want to touch on a little bit about your personal life because you grew up in South Africa.
Yeah.
What was your childhood like?
Yeah, well, it was apartheid South Africa. So, me personally, I think it was actually a lot like Australia now. I think I had a brilliant childhood. We had a housekeeper that kept the house neat, and I loved her very much, and she loved me very much.
She used to pick up your undies off the floor every day, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that to her. But what she did do is in wintertime when it's cold, she'll come and get my school clothes and iron them for me straight before I put them on.
Oh, so they're nice and warm.
So it's nice and warm and toasty.
Okay, so you lived a cushy childhood.
Yeah, and I was an only child as well.
Oh, so you were proper spoiled.
Yeah, but I think that's sort of where neatness came in my life, and everything was always neat. And I'm sorry to say this, but my underwear was always folded in little squares, and my socks were little squares, and now I like everything to be just
it's all about precision.
Yeah.
So I guess, how did you go from South Africa to ending up here in Australia, though?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a sad story. After 1994, when the government's changed, violence really increased, and we had a couple of situations where family members got really seriously injured. My wife's aunt got shot in the face 3 times, and they were sitting in their backyard having a barbecue, and someone just jumped over the wall and started shooting.
Oh, wow.
And they stole a wallet and a cell phone. So that happened. And then my daughter almost got abducted out of our yard. It was Saturday. I was sitting in the garden working, and she was playing next to me, but I was behind the wall and she was standing in front of the gate. And I just saw these 2 hands coming through the gate trying to grab her. And luckily jumped up, grabbed her, and the guy ran away. And then we said, we need to make a change. This is not good. And then we had people with AK-47s in the street shooting at each other, drunk hooligans.
Insane.
Yeah, so we made the change.
Insane. Well, how did your path lead you to Vogue Dental Studios, though? So you moved to Australia and you were working for another dental clinic prior to this. So how did you end up here? Was it by chance or was it fate, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was fate. It's like a coming together of things. The previous place where I worked there for 11 years. Learned a lot, worked really hard. and my father passed away. And as like these big things in your life generally does, it makes you think about your life and where you're headed. And I realized I'm sitting in a garage, literally the lab was in a garage. And I feel like I'm wasting away. So I started looking for something. And I think Vogue was the first people to contact me. I went and saw a couple of other places as well, but as soon as I walked in, I could feel the warmth. And I remember calling my mum and said, I've got these 3 places and this place is offering me this and that place offering me this, but then this place. And she goes, yeah, I can feel this is the right place.
And sometimes you just know in your gut, don't you?
Yeah.
You know if it's the right place.
Yeah.
You're known obviously not just for your work, but the team here have told me that you are in the most beautiful, loving and sensual marriage. And so I had to throw a question in here to ask you, what is your secret to a strong relationship?
Really, I don't know.
Hang on, how long have you been married, first of all?
We've been married for 24 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, like my parents, okay.
Yeah. I think listening to your wife's very important.
Your wife's always right.
Yes.
Don't ever forget that.
Yeah. It's funny. Whenever we like put things down on the table, I'm always on the left-hand side because my wife's always right.
Love that. Yep. Is that one of your dad jokes? Yeah. The team were telling me about your dad jokes that you love to pull.
Yeah, I think the big thing with marriage is you have to want to work on it. Mm-hmm. You need to do for the other person what you want them to do for you. And if you constantly think about it like that, I think you can, even when you don't like each other, you can come to a point where you can at least be in the same room together. Mm-hmm. And it's just sometimes you just bite on your teeth and hang in there.
And it's not always going to be smooth sailing.
No.
I don't think any relationship is. But to your point, it's funny because I was listening to another podcast the other day and they were saying the same thing, that it's always remember to do more for others than what you expect someone else to do for you. And I think that's very much true to what you said.
Yeah. My wife and we've got this thing where there's 3 things involved in the marriage. It's me, her, and the marriage. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm so angry at her that I don't want to do this thing for her. I'm doing it for the marriage. So
shifting your perspective.
Yeah. Because I know on another occasion she's going to be angry at me, mm-hmm. and I'm the one in the wrong, and then she needs to suck it up for the marriage. She's not necessary for me. And
love that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love that. You also have a daughter, a beautiful daughter, who is a wrestling champion.
Yes.
You must be incredibly proud.
Yes, I am. I've got 2 daughters.
Tell us about your girls.
Shaylin and Renee. Shannon's the oldest. She takes after me. Unfortunately for her, she looks a little bit like me. The youngest looks like her mum. She's beautiful. Not that Shannon's not beautiful. She's very beautiful. But since she was little, me and her used to wrestle. And then in primary school, I think she was about 7, 8, they had a sports day. They were all different types of sports. Mm-hmm. So she wrestled all the girls and beat all of them.
I love that.
And then she wrestled the boys and beat all of the boys.
Love it.
And then I thought to myself, we need to do something with this. So I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So got her in, started with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yep.
And she loved it. She was brilliant. Ended up at the age of 15 becoming the Pan-Pacific champion.
Wow.
Against women of 23, 24 years old.
And how old was she?
She was 15.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was a lot of pressure on her from me to do well. And I think I pushed a little bit too hard. After she achieved that, COVID hit. And then obviously all training stopped. And then after COVID, she goes, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like too much. So I said, okay, do whatever you want. And at jiu-jitsu, her wrestling coach, because she did wrestling with Brazilian jiu-jitsu, he said to her, come back to wrestling. Let's, we've got a nice girls team going. So she started, and when was it? End of last year, she went with the Australian female team to Sweden.
Wow.
With a competition. They competed against America, Canada, Germany, Sweden. I think it was 7 countries, can't remember all of them. And she came 5th. So now she's fired up, and if everything goes right,
Incredible.
fingers crossed, maybe the Olympics one day, but we'll see.
Incredible. How do you support her while balancing everything else?
At the moment, I'm trying to back off. If she wants to show me something or whatever, I'm listening and I'm trying to be part of it. But I remember the days when she used to do a competition in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then afterwards I go, oh, you remember that time when this happened? You have to do this. And then I would grab her and we do things, and then she goes, Dad, can't you just be happy for me?
Oh.
So I'm
it's
trying
hard as
to
a parent,
stay cool.
I think. Yeah, for you, obviously you want her to do really well and give your advice and kind of coach her, but then you also need to kind of let them figure it out for themselves too.
I tell you, when she was busy with the competitions, we would yell from the side, and people would move away from us because we would be
very passionate.
Yeah.
Very passionate. Yeah. Can she take you down?
Yes, and she has.
Oh my God, I love that. Absolutely love that.
Yeah, she actually, and I think it was a year 12, year 11, she had to do some sort of performance or a thing in front of the class. So she did takedowns.
Oh, yeah.
So she threw me. And the teacher and the class loved it so much that end of the year they had this big play and whatever, and she had to do it in front of the whole school.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just thrown left and right and whatever, and afterwards I said to her, I think I'm getting too old.
Battered and bruised. For anyone who's just listening and who actually can't see, Francois is a built man, right?
100 kilograms.
For her to be taking you down, she must be pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, she's got something.
Incredible. Francois, we have a closing tradition on this podcast where every guest has to do a round of rapid fire Q&A. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Question number 1. Who would play you in a movie about your life? Could be anyone.
The Rock.
Oh, love that. The Rock.
Let's do that.
Good for you.
I love him.
That's a great one. Question number 2. Dream celebrity client to design a smile for?
That's a tricky one. Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I love him as well.
What do his teeth look like? I can't really remember.
Yeah, they're okay. They're
Has
okay.
He had them
they
done
need
or
a little
not?
bit. They
need a bit of work.
maybe need a little bit of help, but not much. But it's more just to meet him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Matthew McConaughey, if you're listening to this, Dr. D and the team here will do your teeth. If you weren't,
sorry, changing my question.
Oh,
changing my question.
Matthew McConaughey, ignore the offers off the table now.
Jamie Oliver.
Oh, Jamie Oliver. Okay.
He needs help.
All right, we'll get Jamie Oliver in then. If you weren't making teeth or veneers, what would you be doing instead?
Japanese carpenter.
A what? A Japanese carpenter?
Yeah. Have you seen Japanese woodwork?
No. Should I? No.
It is amazing. I love watching videos.
Is that what's on your For You page, on your TikTok feed?
Yeah, I love it. And Japanese architecture is stunning.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
I have to go and look that up after we finish here. I know you listen to music when you work. So what is one song that's always on your playlist when you're in the lab?
There would never be one song on my playlist. I hate listening to the same thing over and over.
Okay, so it's always different music.
Yeah.
Okay. What's harder, parenting or ceramics?
Parenting by far.
Yeah. Are you more of a planner or a spontaneous type of person?
I like it when my wife plans stuff.
Okay. Why is that?
It needs to be planned, but I don't want to do the planning.
Okay. So you're a lazy planner then?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do the spontaneous stuff within the plan.
Okay. What is your dream family holiday destination? If you could take the kids and the wife somewhere tomorrow, where would you go?
Bora Bora.
Oh, love that. Good one. What's one thing people always get wrong about you?
Well, if I listen to what my kids say, I look like a serial killer, but I'm actually a gay man trapped in a straight man's body.
Okay. You remind me a lot of my dad because my dad is also 120 kilos. He's a fighter. And he does. He looks like he could kill someone, but he's actually a teddy bear.
Yeah.
He's actually really sweet. What is your favourite thing to do when you're not in the lab?
Play with my dogs.
What have you got?
Go for a walk. 2 cavoodles.
Oh, cute. And the last question, what are you most proud of in your life right now?
My family.
Good answer.
Yeah.
If you didn't say your family, I would have been very upset.
Yeah. No, I've got a beautiful wife and kids.
Beautiful. Francois, thank you so much for an insightful discussion. I hope that anyone who is potentially considering getting their teeth done or coming for a smile makeover, that they find this super helpful and take a lot of awesome gems from the conversation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Episodes will be released every Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Smile the Makeover Scoop. As always, please send in any questions you have, queries, dilemmas, guests you want to see on the show. You can send them to hello@smilethemakeoverscoop.com. We'll catch you guys next week.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice. Please consult with a professional for specific advice tailored to your situation.